The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
Apologies for bringing the news late. However, welcome to the KFM Lunchtime News today, the 2nd of October 2024. To present it, I'm Jack Mapembula. Also welcome our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. And we take a look at the top stories. Citizens First leader Hari Kalaba warns President Hichilema not to treat judges like common laborers. Yunza Political Science predicts a UPND victory in the 2026 general elections. Chief Electoral Officer says the Electoral Reform Technical Committee to decide the limitation of constituencies. In international news, Netanyahu says Iran will pay for missile attack as Israel sends more troops into Lebanon. In sports, sprinter Mzala Samukonga declines pledged rewards from individuals and companies.
The KFM News. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
And now the news in detail. Citizens First leader Hari Kalaba says it's not surprising that Zambian judges have, for the first time in history of Zambia, undertaken to engage in a silent protest against sitting president. Kalaba says President Hakainde Hichilema has reduced the country's judges to common laborers whom he believes he can hire and fire at his pleasure. The leader of the Citizens First says it is encouraging that the Zambian judges are resisting to be colonized by the executive by silently protesting the hidden executive hand that has encroached into the judiciary. There are speculations that judges in the country have expressed worry at the increasing interference in their operations by the head of state. Pundits of political science have ruled out the possibility of the opposition to win the 2026 general election because, according to them, the opposition seems fragmented and not united. Evans Dak, a political science lecturer at the University of Zambia, said while UPND was so unfortunate that everything they had embarked on did not seem to work under their leadership, the opposition had no capacity to wrestle power from them. Mr. Daka said UPND came into power with a lot of support, which, however, had dwindled in a short space of time, but that it did not take away the prospects of the ruling party retaining power in 2026. But Mombipiri, former PF Deputy Secretary General, says UPND is daydreaming because Zambians have already made up their minds to vote them out. She named the UPND as a failed project whose stay in government each day is a disaster for Zambia. The Electoral Commission of Zambia says the Electoral Reforms Technical Committee will soon be given direction on whether the country will undertake delimitation of constituencies or not. The committee is receiving submissions from stakeholders on electoral reforms in the country. And stakeholders have been consistently calling on the ECZ to conduct boundary delimitation for constituencies to enhance development, as there is a good number which are too big and need to be realigned. ECZ Chief Electoral Officer Brown Casaro says conducting the delimitation exercise will be dependent on submissions from stakeholders to the technical committee. Chembe District Commissioner Christopher Mwans has urged civil servants in the area to maintain discipline, professionalism, and integrity at the place of work. Mr. Mwans has stated that the district has recorded a lot of civil servants, a situation he described as unfortunate. He has since urged the civil servants to always engage his office whenever they face challenges in order to improve performance and avoid disciplinary measures. The DC said this when he addressed heads of government, departments, and institutions during the District Development Coordinating Committee meeting. PricewaterhouseCoopers senior country partner Andrew Chibuye says the 2025 national budget is a testament to government's resolve to navigate through challenging times though its ambitious goals are constrained of the current economic environment. Macroeconomic objectives for 2025 are aimed at attaining a real GDP growth rate of 6.6%, reduce inflation to the 6 to 8% target band in the medium term, maintaining international reserves above 3 months of import cover, and increase domestic revenue to at least 21.3% of GDP, reduce the fiscal deficit to 3.1% of GDP, and limit net domestic borrowing to 1.9% of GDP. During the 2025 post-budget event hosted by PricewaterhouseCoopers yesterday, Mr. Chibuye says government has recognized the urgent need to build a climate-resilient energy sector. The Zambia Council for Social Development, ZCSD, is disappointed that government has failed to provide a clear roadmap for the much-anticipated constitutional reforms. ZCSD board chairperson Jacob Mkambwe tells Phoenix News that the absence of a roadmap is unfortunate and has called on government to take immediate action. Mr. Mkambwe says providing a clear roadmap is critical, especially that it encompasses the right enshrined in the Bill of Rights. He explains that reforms should address critical areas such as civil liberties, socio-economic rights, and the separation of powers, which he believes are currently not adequately protected. Mr. Mkambwe further says constitutional reforms, particularly after the 2016 referendum failed to pass proposed changes to the Bill of Rights, remain a priority for various stakeholders, only taken aback by the slow progress. Justice Minister Princess Kasuna has observed that the general public has skewed priorities regarding justice by sympathizing with influential figures investigated by law enforcement agencies for suspected stealing of public resources at the expense of the vulnerable people. Ms. Kasune notes that society tends to focus on punishing minor offenders while letting those who have embezzled public funds scot-free, thereby setting a worrying standard. She tells Phoenix News that Zambians must demand justice and not sympathize with those accused of squandering public resources, and has wondered why some citizens choose to defend those under investigation for looting public funds. The Justice Minister points out that the ineffective implementation of existing laws has led to a situation where those who commit petty crimes are handed longer jail sentences than those who have committed serious offenses like theft of public resources. Ms. Kasune is urging society to rethink its values and advocate for justice that protects the vulnerable rather than praising those with influence who break the law. Before we take a look on the international news, a recap on local news headlines. Citizens First leader Hari Karaba warns President Hichilema not to treat judges like common laborers. Yunza Political Science predicts a UPND victory in the 2026 general elections. And the Chief Electoral Officer says the Electoral Reform Technical Committee to decide the limitation of constituencies.
If it matters to you, it matters to us.
And now we get to the international news. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran will pay after Iran fired around 180 missiles at Israel on Tuesday. Most of the missiles were intercepted. One Palestinian was killed in the West Bank, and a school in central Israel and restaurant in Tel Aviv were hit. Iran said the barrage was in response to Israel's aggressive acts, including the killing of Hezbollah leader Nasser Nasrallah. Israel says it's sending additional forces to its ground operation inside Lebanon, which began earlier this week and has told more villages to evacuate. Hezbollah says it repelled an Israeli ground attack in Lebanon on Wednesday, and it has continued firing rockets at Israel. At least 45 people have died and many others are missing after two migrant boats capsized off the coast of Djibouti, officials say. The boats left Yemen with 310 people on board before sinking in the Red Sea off the East African nation on Tuesday, the International Organization for Migration said. To date, 61 individuals are still missing, and the search operations are continuing relentlessly, the Djibouti Coast Guard said. It is the latest boat disaster to hit the route, described as one of the busiest and most dangerous in the world, used by refugees and migrants from Africa. The boat sank just 150 meters from a beach near Djibouti's northwest Koanga region, the Coast Guard added. In sports, sprinter Mzala Samukonga surprisingly declined pledged rewards from individuals and companies. In a statement, Samukonga cited personal reasons for refusing the donations, which included monetary gifts, houses, cars, and services. The athlete's decision comes months after his historical victory. He said he deeply valued the support he had been getting and looked forward to continued encouragement in his future endeavors. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag insists he has nothing to panic about after a poor start to the season. A number of senior sources at United have told BBC Sport that it is business as usual as ten Hag prepares for key games against Porto and Aston Villa. Despite Sunday's demoralizing 3-0 loss against Tottenham, leaving them in 13th, ten Hag is confident the season can be a success. United have won just 3 of their 9 fixtures across all competitions in 2023-2025, beating Fulham and Southampton in the league and League One Barnsley in the EFL Cup. Ten Hag led the Red Devils to a third place in the Premier League during his maiden campaign in 2022-2023, while they also lifted the EFL Cup and were runners-up in the FA Cup. Before we wind up the news, a recap on the top stories. Citizens First leader Hari Karaba warns President Hichilema to treat judges like common laborers. Yunza Political Science predicts a UPND victory in the 2026 general elections. Chief Electoral Officer says the Electoral Reform Technical Committee to decide the limitation of constituencies. Netanyahu says Iran will pay for missiles attack as Israel sends more troops into Lebanon. And sprinter Mzala Samukonga declines pledged rewards from individuals and companies. Ends the news at 13 hours. Join us for the news headlines at 14. On behalf of the news crew at K, I'm Jack Mapembulo. Keep listening to KFM.
The KFM news. If it matters to you, it matters to us.
Stay connected. Facebook KFM 95.5. WhatsApp 0965 884955. KFM is more than just radio.
The meaning of life is not to simply exist, but to move ahead, to rise up and achieve, to conquer. Introducing Kung Fu Energy Drink, your push for the next conquest. Kung Fu Energy Drink, master the power. Here's Mike. He loves his Maximo. He starts with banana flavor for breakfast. He moves with vanilla during traffic. He moves with strawberry at lunchtime. He even has chocolate flavor at dinner too.
Mike, dinner too?
I can't help it. It's Maximo. Be like Mike. That's me, by the way. Move with a